Okay, so I don't know if you ever heard the astronaut. His name was Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong. He came to the moon, and when and he said a very famous line. Anyone knows it? Like for those of you that are very knowledgeable. Anyway, he said that's one small step for man, one giant step, one giant leap for mankind. So we started last week by it's probably Shula. We started last week by talking about, you know, like how me and you, like little people, we're gonna change the entire world. Shalom, shalom. How me and you are gonna change the entire world. So today we're gonna try to understand, we're gonna go further and try and understand how us little people, by changing our mini little world and changing my little body and doing little things, how every little action, in the end, how is that gonna lead to change the whole world? The purpose of the whole creation is to make Hashem a dwelling place down here in this world, that Hashem should rest, that the whole world should be godly, everything should be holy. But that's only going to happen fully when Mashiach comes. But we said this chapter talks about the fact that we're starting to do this groundwork now in exile. And today we're going to see how us doing this groundwork in exile is actually bringing about the final redemption. So we're going to see how each little action that we do is like another screw or another wheel that has an influence on the entire system, and each one influences and, you know, and goes further and goes further, and in the end it actually influences to bring about the final redemption and the final biggest revelation of Mashiach, the biggest revelation of God in this world. So we spoke in the last chapter about what is the purpose of creation. What is the whole purpose of Hashem? Is to have a dwelling place down here in this world. When it's going to happen? When Mashiach comes. And this chapter, we're talking about how, okay? So we already understood and established last week that it's when we do a mitzvah, the whole purpose of the mitzvah is what's helping bring down Hashem in this world. Because when you do a mitzvah, you're taking this physical world and revealing the holiness in it, revealing God in it, and that's how you're bringing Hashem and making Hashem welcome down here. And what we explained last week, which is the beginning of this current chapter, it's a very long chapter, chapter 37. We're going to have 5 classes on it. Last week was number 1, today's number 2. So last week we explained how every mitzvah is making holy a different, something else in the physical realm. When we do a mitzvah, we're making our body, we're making different parts of our body holy. We're making our mouth holy. We spoke about when we learned Torah and when we prayed. We spoke about the food. When we use any food that we eat and we use that energy to serve Hashem, we're making all the food holy. We're bringing godliness into all the food. And also all the objects, even the skin of an animal, we're using it to make a Torah, to make a mezuzah. All these objects, all the papers, the holy books, anyways, all these objects that we're using for the purpose of a mitzvah, like we're using it for a mitzvah, we're making that object holy. We're bringing Hashem into the world. So one step at a time, we're making a lot of objects holy. We're making a lot of parts of our body holy, and we're making a lot of the food in the world holy, right? Like, so this is just like small things that we're bringing already holiness. The problem is that there's a very huge gap, almost like a huge gap between my little tiny actions and making this little table into, 7608 Young Street and turning the entire world into a place for Hashem. Like, how is that going to happen from my little tiny actions, my little mitzvah of just me, or me making holy just my mouth? What is my mouth and what is my mitzvah or my object or my food? How is that influencing that the entire world is going to be a dwelling place for Hashem? Like, it's and so number one, I'm very small compared to the whole world, but even within me, one action compared to the whole human that I am is not turning me into a godly person. Like, It's just one action, it's just one part, it's just one tiny little thing. So the big question that we're trying to answer today is, how are my little tiny actions and your little tiny actions, little mitzvot, are going to bring about a huge change in the world and bring about the whole purpose of creation of the world, of bringing Hashem down here, of making Hashem dwell in place. How actually me and you are going to change the whole world? Like, how is that happening? So we're going to see that there's really a very strategic planning of Hashem, very organized strategy of how Hashem is going to do that. Like he knows how he's getting there.
Figured it.
He figured it. He wants us to do mitzvot. And today we will learn how one mitzvah will actually make a chain reaction till it brings about Mashiach.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's like it's a chain reaction. It's like me doing something, it influences and it influences and it influences. So that's what we're going to try to understand today. So it's not that he knows exactly what the goal is and that certain actions are going to bring to the goal, but he knows that exactly how those actions are going to get us to the goal. Okay, so what we're going to see is that there's basically 4 steps to the final, like there's 4 stages, okay, till the final Geula. So the main goal is the final redemption, where the whole world is going to be godly. The whole world is going to be a resting place, a dwelling place for Hashem. Okay. So I'm going to present to you those 4 stages, and then throughout the class and throughout next class, we're going to go a little bit deeper into those stages. So I made a little slide so that you see those 4 stages. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, they should not have, I should have made that you only see the first one and then the second and then the third, but they all show up at the same time. Anyway, so the first thing is like this. The first step is what we learned last week, is that there's a tiny one mitzvah that I do. That's the first stage. I make one little part of my body godly. I make one item godly. I make one piece of food godly, okay? Because a mitzvah is the will of Hashem. And when we do the will of Hashem, we're revealing Hashem in the thing that we're making holy, we're revealing Hashem in that part of our body that we're doing a mitzvah with, in the object that we're doing a mitzvah with. And that's the first step, okay? So that we spoke about last week. We know how we're going to be making holy small things. That we know. We know that a mitzvah is going to make things holy. Now, it doesn't end with one mitzvah and with one part of a body and with one object. Once we make one part holy, the purpose is that my little world, my entire body, is going to want to do all the mitzvot. It's going to accomplish all the mitzvot. So it's not just my little mitzvah or my little thing, but the goal is that I'm accomplishing all the mitzvot. You'll tell me I can't do all 630 mitzvot. First of all, I'm not very religious and I'm not a perfect person. So the secret is actually in what we learned yesterday at the funeral home in that thing, is that, I don't know if I'm supposed to say it now, but okay, whatever, I'm just going to explain it now. Okay, so let me explain to you. How am I doing all the mitzvot? I'm saying it now, but I don't know, it's not showing up here now, but it's okay. How am I doing all the mitzvot? It's my soul that's doing all the mitzvot. A soul comes on earth and does and shows up as a woman and does all the mitzvot a woman can do. Then the same soul can come back as a man and do the mitzvah that the man can do. The same soul can come back as a Levi, like Kohen. Kohen, apparently, everything they do includes all the Jews. But let's say a Levi, your soul comes out as a Levi, and then you do all the mitzvot a Levi can do. Then you did some sins, or you didn't finish doing some mitzvot. So that's why the soul comes on earth in a body to accomplish specific mitzvot, so that soul does all the 613 mitzvot. So now we're actually the last generation before Mashiach. Our souls have come already many, many, many times over, since creation of the world, and have accomplished already a lot of mitzvot. And it could be that we're here just to do one more mitzvah. We don't know which is the last mitzvah that our soul is here to accomplish to finish its mission, and that our soul is going to be complete. It could be that my soul did already 612 mitzvot and is waiting for my last mitzvah, and then my soul, my neshama, my godly soul that's inside of me is actually complete. Okay, so one action matters. That's what we're going to learn today, that one mitzvah can finish the job, can do the whole completion.
For a second.
I don't know how. Okay, whatever. On my screen it's different. So
For a second. Yeah, don't worry about it.
yeah, just ignore it. It's too bad. Okay, so you understand
That's
how?
what they call an old soul.
Yeah, our souls are actually old souls because they probably came into this world many times and did a lot of mitzvot. Anyways, the soul comes in order to accomplish mitzvot. That's the only reason the soul comes on earth. Okay, so when a person comes and does all the mitzvot, then his whole body becomes holy. Okay, it's not just one part of the body or one mitzvah or one object. The whole person, that's the second stage. You see, I'm calling it redemption for the person. That person, he is already Mashiach times. Like in my whole body, let's say I finished, okay, I'm giving an example. My whole body is already a place where Hashem can dwell fully in me. I'm already like at the second stage where Hashem is revealed completely inside of me. My body, my entire body is a dwelling place for Hashem, not just my hand, not just my mouth, and not just my food, but my entire me, because I accomplished all 613 mitzvot, my entire body now has godliness, and I'm in this world. Okay, so now that you have one body and another person that that are complete and they have Hashem dwelling inside of them, comes a third stage, and it's really amazing because at that point, it's Hashem's revelation to all the Jewish people, like to the entire nation. Okay, at some point, if me and you and you and you and you and more people are going to finish accomplishing all their 630 mitzvot, and so at that point, everybody is going to, so there's going to be a completion of Hashem dwelling inside the Jewish people. The Jewish people were originally one soul, and then it got split into 600,000 parts, and we're each another part, like another part of the 600,000. Okay, I understand something that 600,000, each one is divided again into something 600,000 sparks of the soul. There's original 600 that were at Mount Sinai, so they were 600,000 souls, and then each soul can have a lot of sparks.
It has the spark, yeah.
Right. So so we're all parts of one big soul, and just like one body has a lot of parts to the body, a lot of organs. So the same thing, all of us are different organs of one body, of one people, of the Jewish people. So once we all accomplish all the 613 mitzvot, and then and everybody does, every person, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, all the 600,000, then we're having redemption for the nation. Okay, it's a Geula Klalit. It's like all the people are redeemed. Wait, that's not the last step, because Mashiach still didn't come if only the Jewish people have Hashem revealed within them. The goal is that the entire world, the last step is when the entire world has the relation of Hashem in there. So how does that come? So when all the Jewish people have godliness inside of them, it's going to influence all the nations of the world, and it's going to influence also all the animals. It's going to also influence all the plants and all the things, to the point like that's going to be a result of all the Jewish people having a relation of Hashem. And then we're going to have the final, redemption of the whole world feeling and seeing only Hashem. Everything will be godly. It will be black and white, godly. Okay? So so you see how the plan has 4 stages, and from me doing one little mitzvah, it's going to have an effect to bring about the final redemption where everything will be godly. Okay?
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick, but it influences to the next and to the next stage. Okay, I hope you understood. Why is my okay, hopefully that was nice and clear. So the amazing conclusion that we see here is that redemption, the Mashiach times, is not something so far. Okay, it's not something that's above our capacity. Okay, every good action is already a part of the redemption. It's a small redemption, and it becomes a bigger redemption, and each one of us can decide that I'm already starting to live in a way that Hashem is revealed. right? I can decide for myself that I'm living in a times of Mashiach for myself. Like for me, God is revealed. For me, I see Hashem, and I only want to do what Hashem wants. I don't need the whole world to be like this. It starts with me. It starts with one action, and then it starts with the entire me. And how, of course, with doing Torah and mitzvot, that's how each one of us is going to bring about the redemption. There's a rabbi that was an influencer. It's called a mashpia. Rabbi Mendel Futefas was very famous, and he lived during the crazy times of the communist Russia, and he was in Siberia. And why was he in Siberia in camps? Because he spread the Torah and he taught Torah. And one of the people that he was in jail with, or whatever, in those camps with, was a diver. And he shared a story with all his friends in that camp. And he said that his job was he dives in the water, and they were supposed to fish out massive ships that sunk hundreds of years ago. That are very, very deep in the water, and inside those ships there's treasures. So whoever is responsible to do that, they realized that one person by himself cannot do this. How do they do this? They have to attach ropes to different parts of the entire ship. Each diver attaches another rope to another, edge like of the ship, etc. And then once this whole thing is ready, then they pick up they lift the whole ship. So they need a lot of divers. You can't do it one diver on that. And anyways, and they took care of it. So Rabbi Mendel Futef, as I told you, he was in jail and hearing this story, and everything he heard, he connected it to serving God.
Yeah.
So he says, our job in exile now is exactly like that. We have a massive goal, but one at a time, slowly, we need to prepare. We need to make the world holy. Like I'm making my little world holy. Like each one prepares another part of the ship. Each one attaches another rope to the ship, etc. And for that, we need millions of people and millions of actions, millions of mitzvot, till we manage to lift up that whole ship and bring Mashiach. Like we do need, each one counts. Like each diver was needed. Like you need tons of divers and you need tons of work, but each one in the end all together it matters, and it brings about the Mashiach. Okay. Okay, sorry, give me a second.
Maybe Kabhaji told me when he's going to grow up.
Sorry. Anyway, so you understood the idea that we have tons of people and all together. So that's what we're going to see now in the next part of the Tanya. It's very short, but it's a short line that we just explained in long. The whole plan of Hashem to bring about, from one little action all the way to bring the whole world. And it happens through all the mitzvot of every single Jew. And it's really one body that's split into 600,000, neshamot and bodies and sparks. And all together, we're going to bring about the redemption. So let me show this to you in the text. 2 seconds. Okay, here. Thereby, all of Klipat Noga, which constitutes the vitality of this physical and corporeal world as a whole, will ascend as well. When will this come about? When the whole neshama, the divine soul in all of Israel, which is divided into 600,000 particular offshoots, the standard figure of the members of the Jewish nation, all individual souls being further subdivisions of 600 general souls, as will be explained further, will fulfill each individual soul thereof the 613 mitzvot of the Torah. Okay, so when everybody, all the 600 pieces will do the Torah, that will bring the final goal of bringing Hashem down here on this world. Okay, that's it for now. Yeah. So we understood that there's the 4 stages to bring about the final redemption, and we're going to try and explain more in detail each one. We're going to talk about now more in details, but I think I already explained a lot of it. More in detail, the fact that the person, like from one mitzvah, how my whole being is going to become going to receive Hashem and have Hashem revealed in me. So so the question is how all the mitzvot that I do together are going to bring about, like I have such a complicated personality, and how is each mitzvah going to influence my personality, which is like I'm a small world, but how is my small world going to change from one little mitzvah? So it's this is very fascinating. The 613 mitzvot. It's not by chance that it's 613 mitzvot at all, but they actually correspond to all parts of our personality. Each one corresponds to something else in me. And when I do all 613 mitzvot, it's supposed to really purify and bring godliness into literally every part of me, every part of my personality, perfect, like all the way. So it's not by chance that there's 613 mitzvot. So I'm gonna jump into explain. So we know that there's the 600 mitzvot are divided into mitzvot that are positive: do Shabbat, eat matzah, eat kosher, and then there's the mitzvot that are negative mitzvot: don't steal, don't kill,
Don't commit adultery.
or don't eat chametz on Pesach. So on Pesach, when you eat matzah, it's a mitzvah that you do, and when you don't eat, you're also doing you're not doing a negative mitzvah. Okay, so how many mitzvot are each? Very, very interesting. There are 248 positive mitzvot that correspond to 248 organs of our body, and there are 365 negative mitzvot that correspond to so actually very interestingly, I never heard this, but
To the days of the
the Talmud says that it corresponds to the 365 days of the year according to the moon, but the Zohar adds that it corresponds to the 365 veins in our body. Okay, so and those are actually vessels that make the blood flow. And we spoke about our animal soul, which is inside our body, and and the blood, like the veins, are the ones that are like how do you say, they're
catalyzer or run.
they're the one that help run the blood flow from one place to another. Okay, and so each time that we don't do, so we'll see now how those mitzvot really influence our entire body, and slowly our entire body becomes purified once we do all 613 mitzvot. So we're first going to start with understanding the influence of a negative mitzvah inside our body. So we're going to take an example of things that a person does for his body that are not healthy. You can have people that eat unhealthy foods, like junk food, people that smoke, or sometimes there's not good air for our body, like if you're in a different place, like but for example, the hostages in Gaza, they were in those tunnels, and there was a problem with air. So it has an effect on our body. Every little thing slowly but surely affects our body long term. You all agree on that, right? Like it can really cause a long-term negative effect on the health of the person, right?
So
it also not just a physical long-term damage, but it can also make an emotional long-term damage. Like it really, sometimes, like emotionally, if you can be affected negatively by the people that you're surrounded with, and it can really affect you emotionally for a long time. And some people can go into depression, they can go into addictions, whatever. There's different things that could happen from different things that affect us emotionally throughout our life. Okay. So the point is that every single thing that happens in our life, emotionally or physically, unhealthy, affects us long term. Okay, and leaves an impact inside of us. We all agree on that, right? You can understand this physically and emotionally. Okay, amazing. Now, of course, if it's something good, it also has a positive impact. Like if you eat healthy or if you exercise, of course, it has a positive impact. But also the negative impact also has a very long-term influence. So now it actually goes the same thing with the things that the Torah doesn't let us. Things that are not allowed in the Torah, that are from the third category that we saw last week. Let me just show it to you to remind you. Um, I want you to visualize this because not everybody was here last week. Oops. I don't know how to move because they're not on my screen, those people. So I'm really sorry.
It's on the side, it says view, and you can just.
Yeah, but I don't have it. My screen is different than yours
Oh.
because it's showing like the PowerPoint, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, so you remember the three impure klipot, shalosh klipot atmeot, the things that we're not allowed to do. Okay, very important. Okay, it's not like the things that are in the middle that are klipat noga.
Yeah.
Those, the ones that are in the middle that are allowed, regular food, regular things, they could become holy. But the things that are in the red category of the three impure klipot, they hide the kedusha, they hide the holiness completely, and are not able to reveal godliness in there. Like it's completely impure. Okay. So, and they are the opposite of what we're trying to achieve. They're the opposite of trying to bring godliness and make pure our body. Okay, completely. So we can understand now the issue with those three things, with that category, with the three impure klipot. Okay, every time that a person does something that's not allowed according to Torah, he gives energy to that thing, and that thing gives him energy. It's like it's a two-way thing. Like you're creating a relationship with that thing, and it influences, like you're giving energy to this and it's giving energy to you. And it's like, you know, when you buy something, you're also giving the money and you're also receiving the object that you're buying.
Yeah.
Everything you're doing, you're putting energy into it and you're receiving also pleasure from it, or you're receiving, you know, something from it. Like there's a give and take in everything that you do. So if you're having a relationship with something negative, with something that you're not allowed, something forbidden, something from the shalosh klipot atmeot, from those three impure klipot, you create like you're basically damaging your body completely in an impure way. You're making your body in a place that can't receive godliness. Okay, you're damaging the body long term, spiritually. Okay, we spoke about physically, emotionally, but on a spiritual level,
because
get
an
the idea.
animal that eats other animals, we are forbidden to eat it because you get cruelty.
You become what you eat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's
absolutely. So that's why the Torah forbade us to do 365 things. There's 365 things that the Torah said that it's not good for the energy of a Jew. It's bringing a negative impact on our energy, and we have to be so careful to keep our body holy, to keep our body clean, and away from those things that are not allowed. Okay. It's if we do that, we're neglecting godliness. We're saying, I'm not welcoming godliness, you're pushing away godliness. Okay, it's almost like killing spiritually. You're killing a part of your body spiritually. Like you're saying that part, like let's say my feet that took me to a church, whatever, God forbid, or whatever it is, those feet, they can never become holy. Like you damaged it, and we killed that part. Also, the impurity that we brought to our body by doing this negative mitzvah, it actually it becomes part of our soul. It affected us, like, you know, the health, like it affects you inside of you. So the soul became injured, like the soul became defected, like something happened to our soul that received this impurity. Like we damaged our soul. We impurified our soul by doing one of those 365 forbidden things. Okay, and it's not letting the soul welcome godliness and receive God and then do all the mitzvot. Like it's like impacting very, very negatively. Okay, I hope you understand. So just like doing a mitzvah brings godliness and makes our body holy, those things that are not allowed, they bring impurity to our body the same way. Okay, and Hashem said clearly what those things are. Okay, so the easiest thing to talk about is the forbidden foods, but it's also forbidden people to have relationship with. For example, whatever, lo aleinu, but I'm saying people that are married to a non-Jew, they have a relationship. A non-Jew is from the impure, from that category. He has no potential of purity. Unless if he converts, he completely turns to the other category. No, it doesn't. I don't have it here. Okay. Yeah, I know. I have to save it's okay.
It's okay.
Sorry, I don't know what. Um,
Okay. Yeah. It's
sorry, give me a second because again my screen here is giving problems. Give me.
next time.
Okay, so you understood that having any relationship with anything that from those that category of anything that's not allowed according to Torah damages physically the body, and in the same way, exactly in the same way. Actually, no, I want to talk further than that. That the 365 forbidden things are just like they're like 365 veins in our body, right? So that concept is because basically those veins they make the blood flow right in our body. So our animalistic soul is inside the blood. Okay, so we want to make that our animalistic soul cooperates, with the godly soul. But if so those blood that blood, he brings the animalistic soul to the entire body. Okay, those veins, they bring the blood to the entire body. So they bring literally on a physical level, that animalistic soul can resides through those 365 veins and through those 365 forbidden things in your entire body. So what happens here is that the 365 things that we're not allowed to do, it's almost like a filter or like a cleaner for our blood. If in order for our soul to not become impure, it's very, very important to make sure that those 365 veins are clean, don't have any impurity entering them, right? Because if impurity enters that bloodstream, it actually comes inside our body, and our body has impurity inside of it. So the job of the 365 veins and the 365 negative mitzvot is to make sure to keep the body clean from impurity. Okay, and make sure that the body is able to stay in the category of being able to be purified. Okay, we must have all the nose to make sure it stays clean in order to be able to purify all the 248 organs. Every mitzvah that we're going to do, we're going to purify the body. So it's very important that the blood and the body should be clean from the impurity so that it has the potential to be purified, because the goal is to purify and to bring godliness into the entire body. Okay, so you understand how it's so important to be careful with all these 365 things that are not allowed in order to keep our body clean. Okay, yes, you can do tshuva, proper tshuva, we'll take care of it. Okay, but tshuva proper, it can be another few classes about what proper tshuva is, but anyways, I hope you got the idea. Anyway, so you understood that every sin that we do, every time we do a sin from the Torah, we're impurifying the soul, and we're not letting it become pure. Okay, so we need to make sure to keep that clean. Okay, so there's like, I'll just to remind you how the Yetzer Hara works. I think we shared this story before, but I just want to remind it to you. There was a rich man that had a huge palace, and there was a simple man that wanted this palace, and he's like, "Can you please give me your palace? Like, can you please sell me your palace?" Whatever it was, and the rich person said, "No way." He says, can I please buy half of your palace?" He says, no, I don't want you to buy half a palace. Can you please buy, can I please buy just one room in your palace? No. And in the end, he asked, can I just please hang one little nail on the wall? And I want to hang my suit on that nail. And the owner of this beautiful palace said, you know what? I see you really, really want my palace. I'll let you hang just one nail on the wall. And then he has a nail on the wall, and he keeps ringing the bell and to put the suit in and to put the suit out. And he's a whole day in and out and ringing the bell and bothering the people in and out constantly. It was really, really frustrating to the point that the owner of the palace of this big not palace like mansion, whatever, he said, you know what, just take one room and you have a side door, one room, and then you don't bother us every time you need to go in and out, just stay in that one room. And what does he do? He brings his entire family into this one room with a bunch of little kids, and they make tons of noise and whatever. It was crazy. And they made noise by day, by night. And then the owner of this mansion said, you know what, take the whole floor. And he lets them have the whole floor, and they're having the whole floor, and they made even more noise, and they brought more stuff, and it was a bigger mess. And this says, you know what,
Take the whole house.
take the whole house. I'm gonna move, at least I'll have some quiet. So can you relate to what's happening inside of you now?
No, what happens in Israel?
What happens in Israel with the Arabs? Yeah, good point. So actually, there's a certain Maggid of Kuznets that said this story, and he says, you know what?
Yeah, it's a famous
It's the Yetzer Hara that comes to us. He wants to buy all of us.
one name.
He wants to win all of us, but we're saying no way, goodbye. Can I just get your head? No, 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 no. Just one little nail. He comes and we do one tiny little sin, and then he feels more comfortable inside of us, and then he grabs more space and more space until he actually wins the entire of us. That's how the Yetzer Hara works. So we have to be very careful with one little sin to not let the Yetzer Hara. That's the idea. Yeah. So I'm going to show you now in the Tanya how the Alter Rebbe explains the purpose, the purpose of why we have 365 negative mitzvot, and it's all the things that we're not allowed to do, and their purpose is to clean and make sure that all these 365 veins in the that are conducting the blood of our soul should not become impure with those shalosh klipot atmeot, okay, with those three impure things. We don't want, like, it's making sure that our veins and our blood stays very clean, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to bring holiness inside of us. Okay, we need to stay away from that. And then he's going to say that when Mashiach comes, there's going to be no impurity at all. It's all going to be out of the world completely. Even if a soul had some impurity, it's going to be able to become holy, okay? Because nothing is going to disturb Hashem from residing inside of this world or inside of us when Mashiach comes. So let's go to our Tanya. About the 365 here. Okay. Okay. When they will refrain from transgressing the 365 prohibitions to restrain the 365 blood vessels of the animal soul in the body, so that they don't draw nurture or receive vitality by means of such transgression from any of one of the three completely unclean klipot, from which are derived the 365 biblical prohibition and the rabbinical prohibition, their offshoots. The vitalizing soul could no longer ascend to God, having been tainted by the impurity of the three impure klipot. For this klipot can never be elevated, but must be nullified and utterly destroyed, as it is written when Mashiach comes, and I shall banish the unclean spirit from the earth. So when Mashiach comes, there's going to be no impurity in the world. Okay? But right now, if we bring impurity, we're not letting it become pure. Okay? Clear?
Yes.
Okay, so we spoke about the 300, what's going on here? We spoke about the 365 negative mitzvot, okay, that are supposed to keep our entire animalistic soul pure, and it should not become impure from the shalosh klipot atmeot. And because we want it to be able to become holy. And now we're going to see how the 248 mitzvot, positive mitzvot, they're meant to do the second side of the coin. They're supposed to purify and make the body holy. Okay, they're going to make the body and the animalistic soul holy. Every time you do a mitzvah, we're making the body more holy. So we learned already last week that every mitzvah that we do with our body is going to make that part of the body holy. Actually, each mitzvah corresponds to another part of the body. There's a list of it. We don't have it, but literally, there's 248 limbs in the body, And every mitzvah has a corresponding mitzvah. So if you, for example, just to give you an example, tefillin shel rosh, tefillin shel yad, like we have the tefillin for the head, the tefillin for the hand. We have tzedakah is done with the hands. Walking to synagogue with our feet. Okay, so there's different mitzvot that are connected to different parts of our body. So it's not by chance that there's 248 mitzvot, okay? It's because it's literally purifying 248 organs of our body, okay? And in the end, if we do all the 248 positive mitzvot, we're going to purify the 248 organs of our body, one at a time, okay? That's the second stage of bringing the final redemption. Remember, the first stage was one little mitzvah at a time, and the second stage was my body, me, like the one person's body. When we are careful with the 365 negative mitzvot and not making our body impure, and we do all the 248 positive mitzvot and make our body pure, that's going to bring geula for the person. Okay, that's going to bring Hashem into all of us. Okay, yeah, like to one person at a time. When I do all the 630 mitzvot, I'm purified. Okay, so let's look at that part in the Tanya when he talks about those 248. Like the purpose of the 248 positive mitzvot, that they're here to purify, to bring holiness to each one of our organs, and each one of those organs also has like inside of it that animalistic soul that we're purifying, okay? And he's explaining something beautiful, that when we do that, when we do the 248 positive mitzvot, we become, remember the chariots that our holy fathers, they're a chariot of Hashem, they're doing what Hashem wants in this world. We become chariots of Hashem. When we do everything Hashem wants in this world, we are the chariots of Hashem. Like we're the driver, like we're doing exactly what Hashem wants. We're completely submitted to the driver. And that way, my entire life, my entire being is only doing what Hashem wants. And I become a complete chariot of Hashem's holiness, of Hashem's will. Okay. And then Hashem is completely residing inside of me. Okay. That's the purpose of that second stage. So let me show you about the 248 in the Tanya.
You didn't mention exactly what are the shalosh klipot me'od. I had to look Google.
I explained it last week that it's the things that are not allowed.
Yeah, but which ones? Like besides
food and this, it's anything that's not allowed. It's like shatnez. Okay, so for example, the clothing that are not pure, chametz on Pesach. Like in terms of objects, right? Impure animals.
But you keep saying the shalosh, the three.
It's called like that, but you're right. It's it's an excellent question. What are the three categories inside of it? That's a very good question. I'll find out. That I really don't know, but it's an excellent question. Yeah, I don't know. It's called shalosh klipot me'od, but you're right. Why shalosh?
No.
Well, I'll find out, because you're right. It's an excellent question.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the 248. When furthermore, every individual soul will fulfill also the 248 positive commandments, thereby drawing down the blessed Ein Sof light below, to elevate to him and to bind and unite with him the entire vital soul, which is in the 248 limbs of the body, in perfect unity, such as the effect of a mitzvah, in uniting the vital animal soul with God, so that they become actually one with him. And the next paragraph is about our the chariot, in accordance with his will, that there be an abode for him in the lower realms. And so great is this unity that they, the limbs of the body, with the vitality of the animal soul invested in them, become a chariot for God, as were the patriarchs, whose every limb was in total submission to the divine will. Wherefore they are designated as God's chariots, and so will every Jew become a chariot by performing the mitzvot. Okay, so the goal is that we're becoming just like we did exactly what Hashem wants, and when we do all the 613 mitzvot, we do exactly what Hashem wants. Okay, now we're coming to the last part. So we already did like we explained the two first stages of the, to bring from my little mitzvah to the final redemption. Last week we spoke about all the little mitzvot, how they are purifying and bringing holiness to the items and to the parts of the body. Today we spoke how one little mitzvah. In the end, all together, they're going to make my entire body a perfect dwelling place for Hashem. Now we're going to talk about how this is going to bring about redemption and dwelling place in the entire Jewish people. Okay, the third stage. How is my personal, me being a chariot for Hashem, me doing all the mitzvot, me living in Mashiach times, me living in a place where there's only God, how is that going to bring about Mashiach for all the people? Look at all the people around us. Like, how am I influencing so many Jews that they should all become like that, and that everybody, that all the Jews will be on the same page? So the answer is that the Jewish people actually it all starts with one neshama. It's called neshama klalit. Like there's one neshama for everybody. Okay, and that was represented actually by Yaakov Avinu, our father Yaakov. He had one neshama, and that one was split into the 613. 600,000 neshamot. Okay, that one main neshama was split into 600,000 souls. Okay, and those are the 600,000 souls that came out of Egypt. Okay, we're going to talk about it more in the next class, apparently. Anyway, and that's how really we're all representing, and we're all composites of one neshama. Okay, so the Arizal explains that each one of the 600,000 neshamot needs to do all the 613 mitzvot. Okay, like that's completion. It's when all these full neshamot are doing everything. Problem is, it's not very possible that everybody, so that's what I explained to you earlier. It's not possible that I will do all 613 mitzvot. So that's when comes the idea of the incarnation that I explained to you earlier. I told you it wasn't then that I was supposed to explain it, but it was now. But you know it. That how am I doing all 613 mitzvot is because my soul came into many bodies before me. And between all the bodies that it came in, each one accomplished different mitzvot. There's some mitzvot that are only for women, some mitzvot are only for men, some mitzvot are only for Kohanim, some mitzvot can only be done in the times of the temple. So they did it then. So my soul did the mitzvot when there was the first and second temple. My soul happened to be once in a men's body, or happened to be, in different situations where they did the different mitzvot that are not applicable to me. But there are certain mitzvot that I'm here on earth because I need to do some of those mitzvot that were not done yet. That's why I'm here. We're literally here with a mission, and those are the mitzvot. I don't know exactly which mitzvah it is. That's why we have to do everything we can. But that's the concept, okay? So the same way I'm supposed to purify all the limbs of my body, the same way all the souls, okay, every soul from the 100,000 needs to also finish the 613 mitzvot. It's not enough, that one person does it and one person doesn't. Like you need all the 600,000 souls to finish all the 613 mitzvot. Okay, all the 613,000 souls have to come to their personal redemption. They each need to receive Hashem fully. Okay, each one at a time. Each one really matters. Okay. And once all of them together, everybody's going to be fulfilled and have all the 613 mitzvot and be fully pure, then that will bring about such holiness, that the entire neshama, the entire Jewish people are going to become holy. Okay? That's how the whole nation, all the Jewish people are going to have, Hashem residing in them. And that's really logic. Like you see that it's mainly going to happen when Mashiach comes, realistically speaking. But at the same time, we're each responsible for ourselves. If I know about this, I can't wait till Mashiach comes and say, I'm going to do whatever I want. Mashiach comes, Hashem's going to purify my body. I'm responsible now to start purifying my body now. I'm responsible for my soul to be up to my 613 mitzvot. Okay, we're still each responsible for everything we have to do. Okay, we're going to talk. We're going to expand more next week about the connection between the fourth stage. How when the Jewish people are all holy, how is that going to influence that the entire world is going to become holy and is going to receive Hashem? But we're mentioning now what's going to happen when the whole world is going to have Hashem. It's going to be in every part of the world. It's going to be also the people that speak, which means all the nations of the world, all the non-Jewish people, everybody Okay, everybody, they're gonna just be busy with what? With getting to know Hashem, with realizing that Hashem is the only one. There's nothing else but Hashem. There's gonna be no jealousy, no hate, no competition, okay, no wars, because everybody's gonna be busy and united in knowing who Hashem is. That's for all the people. I told you there's the people that speak, then there's the animals, the plants, and the inanimate. So all these things, each one, we're gonna go through each one. How all of these are gonna all recognize Hashem, and be one with Hashem. That's Mashiach types. So even the animals are not gonna fight, not gonna hurt each other. We talk about the peace between the lion and the lamb. Everybody's gonna be in peace, okay? Because it's all gonna be good. It's all gonna be godly. They're gonna know their purpose. They're not gonna be here to kill. They're not gonna be here to hurt. They're gonna all be fine with themselves. Also, all the plants. There's going to be no issues with growing plants. Like I'm saying that, sometimes you have to be so careful with parasites and making sure the way they grow plants is like a whole situation, to make sure that it's done properly. There's going to be no problems there. So everything is going to be growing, and everything is going to grow apparently the same day that you plant it. That day is going to be coming out. And it's going to be also much nicer fruits and vegetables. Everything will be bigger and better and tastier, the way you describe like the Mashiach times fruits and vegetables. And even the things that are inanimate, even the stones, even the all the even actually all the technology, everything is going to be there only for one purpose, because there's one God. Everything is going to be serving the one purpose of bringing Hashem down in this world. Okay. And it says that even the stones are going to be saying that Hashem is one. Like there's such a saying in the Talmud. Okay. So we learned today the 4 stages of how from my one little mitzvah, we're going to get to the purpose of the entire world, of the entire creation, which is to bring Hashem down, to bring godliness down in this world, which is going to happen fully when Mashiach comes. But we learned today that all this is depending on, it starts off with my mitzvah. It starts off with each mitzvah matters, each part of the body matters, each person matters, okay? And each one of our actions have a chain effect, a chain reaction to bring about that final redemption, okay? And that's supposed to, the lesson from here, it's supposed to teach us that we have a very big responsibility, and it's very serious. Everything we think, say, and do really has an effect, okay? Also, we have to, it's besides from being a responsibility, it's also how lucky we are that we have this responsibility, that we're partners with Hashem in fulfilling this purpose. Okay, it's like it should bring us joy to know Hashem wants me, Hashem is partnering with me, and Hashem is relying on me to help him, fulfill his purpose. So we're going to look at the Tanya. Second. Before I go into Tanya, I want to just share the famous story you all know. Is this there was a boat, and one person is making a hole in his little cell. And we're like, what are you doing? He's like, well, it's just in my little cell, but you're going to sink the entire boat. So we're all in one big boat. We need to realize that we're all in the same world, and each of our actions really influences the entire boat, really influences the entire world. And there's a huge chain effect from each of our actions that will bring about Mashiach. Okay. I think this is extremely powerful. So we'll see now in the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe shows us the final result of all our actions in exile, that everything is going to bring in the end the biggest fulfillment of Hashem residing into every little thing. That and it all starts with us doing all the 613 mitzvot. And second, a very interesting thing. I'm going to show it to you in my slides. Okay, it will mess up my screen again, but it's okay. So remember this. 1 second. Sorry. I don't know if it's my hands that are left hands or what's going on here, but okay, we're getting there. It's cooking. Okay, so remember this, very interesting. Okay, so when Mashiach comes, okay, there's gonna be no more klipat noga. everything that has potential to be illuminated, to have holiness, everything that could become holy is going to be holy. When Mashiach comes, it's going to be black or white. It's going to be like this. Okay? Everything is going to be either holy or impure. Now, all the impure is actually going to end up disappearing from the world. It says that, okay, in the end, Hashem is going to take away all the bad, okay? It's going to be completely nullified, okay? So first it's going to be, it's just either it's becoming holy or it's becoming impure, and then all the impurity is coming out completely, okay? So when Mashiach comes, there's this complete revelation, and we're going to really see Hashem, and then all the klipot are going to go away, okay? That's clear. Just take it out. Of course, it didn't come out. Give me a second. Okay, now we're going to read the last part of the Tanya for today about this final redemption. So once the totality of the vital soul of the community of Israel will become a holy chariot for God, then also the general vitality of this world, which now consists of Klipat Noga, the middle, remember, will also emerge from its impurity and sickness. The term impurity refers to the evil of the Klippa. Sickness refers to the element of good that Klipat Noga contains, which is nevertheless the good of Klippa, not holiness, and will ascend to holiness. Okay, so all the Klipat Noga, all that middle will become holy, to become a chariot for God upon the revelation of his glory in the world to come. Then all flesh will behold godliness together, and he will appear over them with the majestic beauty of his power, and the glory of God will fill the whole world. Israel will see eye to eye. The human eye will see the truth of godliness, just as the supernal eye sees it, just as they saw at the giving of the Torah, in which it is written, you showed yourself so that it be known that God is the Lord. The four-letter divine is Elohim, despite the concealment of the four letters of my name, is the former that, okay, there is nothing else besides from him. Everybody will see that there's nothing else besides from him, besides from Hashem. Thus, היה פה, אין עוד מלבדו. פתרת על הדעת כי השם הוא אלוקים, אין עוד מלבדו, and then I moved it. Through this ascent of Klipat Noga to holiness, the three unclean Klipot will be utterly annihilated and nullified. Okay, so first the Klipat Noga will become holy, then there's going to be no Shalosh Klipot Atmeot. For the nurture and vitality which they now receive from holiness comes to them only by way of Klipat Noga, which they mean intermediary between them. Wait a little bit more. Yeah, we're almost there. It follows, therefore, that the purpose of the messianic area and of the resurrection, namely the revelation of his glory and divinity and the banishment of the spirit of impurity from the earth, is entirely dependent on our drawing down his godliness of the blessed Ein Sof upon all the 248 limbs on the vital soul of all Israel. And this is achieved by the vital soul's performance of the 248 positive mitzvot. And last part of today, and this purpose is also dependent on our banishing the spirit of impurity. The three impure klipot from the vital soul of all Israel, or by being banished from the vital soul, the spirit of impurity is banished from the entire world. This is accomplished by the vital soul's observance of the 365 prohibited mitzvot, thus preventing its 365 blood vessels from drawing nurture from the spirit of impurity. Okay, so by us doing the 248 positive mitzvot, and making sure to keep clean from the 365 prohibited mitzvah, we are preparing the world for this ultimate welcoming of Hashem everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to summarize, and then we're going to walk out with today. So we learned that the purpose of the mitzvot is to purify, to bring holiness to the body. We have 248 positive mitzvot that are meant to bring holiness to the 248 organs of our body. And the 365 negative mitzvot are meant to keep clean the blood that is in the 365 veins of our body, blood vessels, whatever. And when all the Jews are going to do all the 613 mitzvot, it's going to be a chain effect. And that's so the soul of all the Jews is going to come out of its impurity and is going to all become pure. And all the 300, all the 613 mitzvot are going to be accomplished, and that's going to bring about the entire world to come out of its impurity and be purified and bring Hashem, and that's how Mashiach is going to come. Okay, so what we learned today, the main lesson that I want all of us to walk out with is the power of one little action. Okay, just like we're careful with what we eat for our health, for our physical health, or the power of one more workout physically, like everything matters. So it's the same thing with one little mitzvah that we don't do, or one little mitzvah that we do. Like the mitzvah that the negative mitzvah that we don't do, and the positive mitzvah that we do. Okay, very, very important. Yeah. The whole goal of the creation of the world is basically made of one big puzzle. Okay, and each piece of the puzzle really matters. Each one really matters. And each action, they all combine, like each person combines, like each one is necessary over here in order to come to the final redemption. The Maimonides talks about, that we should always see our action on a scale, as if my little action is going to tip the scale. That everything is on one side, and my final action is what's going to bring Mashiach. My final action is what's going to do. So that's really, we should see it, of course, in a positive way, but also in a negative, way. Like I can tip the scale in a negative way. Like we have to tip the scale on the positive side, right? So sometimes we have this thought, like, what does one action matter? Or what do I matter? There's so many people in the world. Let all the rabbis, let all the religious people bring Mashiach. Like what am I going to accomplish over here? But or what I do doesn't really matter. But we're learning today that each person and each action matters, and we have to put so much importance, to the way we look at it, to our attitude towards it, and realize that every action and every person really matters, and we don't know which action. We don't know which mitzvah, first of all, I need to finish accomplishing for my soul to do all the 613 mitzvah. But I also don't know, like in the end of the game, me and you and each one of us is what's we all gonna change the entire world. So hopefully we understood how, and we will feel how each action and each mitzvah really matters. And next class, we're gonna see how the actions of one, the Jewish people can change the entire world. Like the small Jewish people, like we're such a minority, how that will, like the fourth stage, that I told you, that once it's all the Jewish people, then we're going to be able to, the entire world is going to be welcoming Hashem here.